Hi there, Chris here with another fresh tip for you all. In this video we are going to finish our look at the Stonekin Battleborn from Relicblade. And so in this video we are going to work on the base. As you can see, the base has already got a layer of primer on it. It was, I can't remember what the primer was, light gray anyway. Morton Fang brown is next, and we're going to slap a little bit onto our palette. We're just going to use the dampness of the brush to thin this out, and I'm using a medium base coating brush here. And basically all I'm going to do is just put down a flat, even layer all over the base, and including the little bricks that are sculpted just below the right foot there. So we'll just carefully move our way around and slap a quick little layer down. As you can see there, again, I'm not too concerned about neatness or anything like that. I'm going to take Astro Granite, this is a GW texture, and I'm going to take Agrilian Earth, the Citadel texture. And I'm going to use the Citadel texture tool here, or brush, whatever heck you want to call it. Take a fairly generous amount of the Agrilian Earth, and I start off on the back here, and I basically just kind of slide it onto the surface, and then in a somewhat patting motion, I begin laying the color down. Now, my intention here is to kind of create this kind of a bit like of a stream. Now, in hindsight, as I'm moving to the front here, I should have actually laid more down, as you will see later on in the video. But if you really want that crackle medium to crackle for you, you got to be pretty generous with it. Here I'm using the Astro Granite in and around the bricks, and I'm also kind of moving it into any of the other little spaces around the flat areas of the base that I did not get with Agrilian Earth. Just basically going for a bit of multi-texture on this surface here. I'm using the fine end of the tool just to simply get in under the feet. I'm also kind of blending the colors in together because I was kind of curious to see basically, you know, what's going on there. I don't really expect too much crackling or anything like that, or, you know, but I figured just to kind of blend these colors, because once it does dry, I do want it to have kind of a seamless type of transition as well. So we basically just fine-tune the area, and you can see where the Agrilian Earth is kind of large in the back, and it kind of funnels off into a small area. And that was because in the front area it doesn't quite dry how I want, and so in hindsight I should have laid a little bit more. You can see it's just a little bit of cracking in the front, not really that much. And you can see in the back, you can see there's a bit of a blend going on with the crackle medium and the Astro Granite. So if you want to push that idea further, I highly suggest it. Go right ahead. It's kind of like a little bit of a dried out river stream kind of thing he's standing over. Athonian Camel Shade is next. We're going to use a very generous amount of this, and basically we are just going to kind of not really stipple, but I'm going to lay it somewhat heavily on a majority of the base, but on the Agrilian Earth I kind of use a stippling motion to kind of just create these ideas of mossiness and growth. Again, I'm using this Athonian Camel Shade. It's a really fun color because it's got green and browns in it, and so actually for vegetation on a base, it actually is a really fun color, especially when it sits on top of gray. It's a lot of fun because it gives you dark tones as well as little green and brown tones. And, you know, again, it helps the base feel a little bit more natural and all of that, right? Once that's dry, we're going to come in with some Morton Fang brown. We're going to add a little Dawnstone to this. Basically, we're going to mix this roughly a 2-to-1. 2 brown to 1 gray. We're going to use this, and because of somebody's big ham fists, you don't really quite see what I'm doing here, but I'm just basically laying a base coat on most of the stones, leaving just the darker tones in between each of the little areas. I'm going to add a little bit more Dawnstone to this, making it roughly like a 1-to-1 ratio, but it's probably closer to a 2 gray to, or actually 3 gray to 2 brown. And then with this, I'm just simply going to layer in some highlights. I'm just following the edges of the stones, bringing the highlights kind of outwards from the foot. So it's the outer edges of this little stone piece that he's standing on that are getting highlighted. I'm not being terribly precious about how I'm laying these highlights down. I'm just kind of, you know, in a rough stippling motion, just laying down some of the areas here. The stonework already has quite a bit of texture on it, but I just, you know, kind of accentuate it a little bit further. Another little dollop of Dawnstone into the mixture, probably more like a 4-to-1 of gray to brown, 4 gray to 1 brown. It's quite a bit of a gray here, but it's got the hint of the Morton Fang in it. And you can see here we're just being fairly careful as we just catch just some of these edges and some of these little corners and things like that. Again, trying to push more of a gray tone and, you know, creating that brown and pushing that back a bit so it's not so, dominant here on the surface, but I do want multi kind of colors going on here. Tyrant Skull, this is the dry. I don't know if this is the same colors they have now, but this is basically like almost like Ushapti bone or something like that. You could use this kind of a light khaki type color. And I'm dry brushing the entirety of the base, the stones, the crackles, and the astrogranite. They're all catching a very light highlight. Now you can see here as I move my way around, it is catching the edges, but of course I'm also using a larger dry brush for this. You could use a smaller dry brush if you're more comfortable with that. I use a larger one just because I'm starting to get impatient and want to get this guy done and get him finished for the tabletop. And so very quickly, we're just simply catching the high points and working our way around the model. Trying to build more brighter color towards the outer edges of the base, leaving a little bit darker color kind of in the center of the area. I'm going to use some grass tufts. These ones are from Gamer's Grass, and this one here has a nice little C shape to it, and so I use, they have adhesive backing to them, but I do just a little dollop of super glue at the kind of the 3 little spots on that. Here I just do a little dollop of super glue on this one here, and I just kind of slap that in, and I'm kind of laying these onto the gray areas. Again, I'm trying to leave that Agrilian Earth area alone because it's kind of a dried out riverbed kind of thing. I was just making it up as I go. Here I'm going to use some flowers. These are from Gamer Grass. They have a variety pack of like red, yellow, purple, and green, I believe. And I'm going to throw one in the front and use a bigger one kind of in the back. I just use my tweezers to kind of just get it into location. And then I quickly switch off into my little pick here so that I can kind of pick the flowers. Because when you kind of apply a bit of pressure, applying it down to the base, they kind of clump together. And so I wanted something here. And so if you have like a little stick or toothpick or something like that, you can kind of but move the blades and the feather or the flowers apart so that it gets a bit more of a natural kind of look. Skaven Blight Dinge is next, and this is for the all-important rim of the base. I'm doing it in this gray color, the Skaven Blight Dinge, as I do believe that was what I did on the other Relicblade model for this faction when I did the gnome, and that's also why I used astrogranite as well, because I wanted these guys to feel like a unified kind of faction. Then I just quickly peel it off the base and have a look, and he's all ready to go. And that is it. That is the Stonekin Battleborn from the Wilderkin faction of Relicblade. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know down below what kind of ideas you guys would like to see in future videos. Huge thank you to my patrons. Without their support, these videos would not be possible. If you're considering Patreon support, click the link in the description below and it'll take you off to a magical site called Patreon where you can pick varying tiers of support. Huge thank you. Take care of those brushes and they will take care of you.